This is Performance Anxiety on the Pantheon Podcast Network, and I am your host, Mark. And today's guest makes me feel a little bit country and a little bit rock and roll. Welcome singer-songwriter Pamela McNeill to the podcast. She has accomplished so much in her career, but it all started in Winona, Minnesota. She talks to me about the music scene there and what event set her mind on being a musician. She talks about some unusual things about her, like being a massive fan of Rush, working as a clown at the Ground Round restaurant, and how that led to her first real musical job. Soon enough, she was playing in cover bands, which led to a gig with the legendary Lamont Cranston, where she got a real education in the music business. That led to a gig opening for the one and only Etta James. But a serious relationship led her to the UK, where she entered the orbit of the man himself, Rick Astley, back in his first heyday. And that led to a bit of karmic retribution for one particular member of Bananarama. And all the while, she's writing her own music. She wrote Yanni's first lyrical song, wrote for Winona Judd, and wrote with Tillis and many others. And when she finally made her own albums, she blew it out of the water. She'd been releasing music steadily since 1998, and has a new EP out called Wave After Wave on Farm to Label Records. Think Fleetwood Mac playing country music, and you start to get a feel for it. Check it out wherever you get music. Go buy it and follow her on socials at Pamela McNeill Music. Check out PamelaMcNeill.com for tour and music info, and follow us at Performance ANX on socials. Pick up merch at performanceanx.threadless.com, including our new Spinal Tap inspired logo. Pay for our coffee at ko-fi.com/performanceanxiety. So get ready for a story with so many twists and turns with Pamela McNeill on Performance Anxiety on the Pantheon Podcast Network.
Okay, so what do you need me to say? Sounds good. All right. Hi, this is Pamela McNeill on the Performance Anxiety, hanging out with Mark today, and so excited to be here. I've got a new EP coming out called Wave After Wave. You can find me at PamelaMcNeill.com, 2 L's in McNeill. And yeah. Hi, this is Pamela McNeill on Performance Anxiety, hanging out, having a good time. I hope you're having a good night. Hi, this is Pamela McNeill. I'm a singer-songwriter with a new EP called Wave After Wave, also a Rush aficionado, here on the Performance Anxiety. And check me out on PamelaMcNeill.com and all the socials. Okay, no, that's good. I'll just wedge you in the corner. Oops. Oh my God, this is hilarious.
Man, if I had a nickel for every time somebody said they're just going to wedge me in a corner.
You'd have one nickel.
I would, maybe 2. My wife has said it once, maybe.
Hi.
How are you doing? It's awesome to meet you.
It's awesome to meet you. Thank you so much for wanting to talk to me. It's cool.
Oh, it's great. It's funny because country music is not my strong suit. So, sure. But I love hearing new music. I love listening to artists that I've never heard before and then going and doing a deep dive. And this has been so much fun. So I've got so many things to ask you. I got like 2 or 3 pages of notes. So
awesome. Well, fun. Well, here we go.
All right. I guess let's start at the beginning. So you're born in Winona, Minnesota. And when I think of music in Minnesota, I don't really think of country. I end up thinking more of, the alt rock scene and Prince, Soul Asylum and bands like that. But I'm assuming with the popularity of country music nationwide, it's just as popular there as it is everywhere else.
Oh yeah, it's hugely popular here, and it kind of the alt country scene is probably bigger than anything. So when you're talking like Lucinda Williams, which is kind of that that was I think this is a pretty big market for her and artists sort of like her. And so, I mean, that was definitely an influence on me, big time. But I mean, there are a lot of, country fests and stuff like that where people come and watch, all the big names. But there are a few country acts around here, but it's more the alt country kind of scene. Okay.
I read that you grew up playing classical piano. Was piano the first instrument that you learned?
Yeah, I just kind of played it by ear at first. We had an old salmon pink upright piano.
Salmon pink?
Oh, yeah. It was something. And I discovered early that I could pick out stuff and just play it by ear. So I started plunking along on that. And then my grandma, who lived next door to us, she had a Hammond organ with the pedals and everything. Oh, wow. And so I started taking lessons, and I got to practice on her Hammond organ, which was pretty cool. It was a pretty badass thing to be doing when you're 8 years old,
Yeah, that's amazing. Were you singing at that time too, or did that come later?
Well, I wanted to be a singer since I was 3. So I would take my allowance and buy a single, and I would go home, put it on my little record player, and I would practice it, and I would sing it for my mom or dad or grandma, whoever was there. And it was just, that was my life. I was obsessed.
So at the age of 3, you knew that's what you wanted. What happened at 3 to make you know that that's what you wanted to do?
I was in church on Christmas Eve, dressed up as an angel with the little, tinsel halo or garland in my hair, which I think is one of the greatest looks,
Oh, yeah. And my girls did that.
Yeah. And I was singing, and I was looking out at the congregation, and they were just so happy and beaming. And it just was Christmas Eve. And I was like, this is what I want. I want every night to be Christmas Eve. I want to feel this, And so I just decided that's what I was going to do. And, everybody would say, oh, don't you want to be a nurse? Don't you want to be this? And I'd be like, no, I'm going to be a singer. And I just knew that's what I was going to do. I just never questioned it.
Were you writing music, your own music early on, or was that something that came later?
I wrote my first official song, when I was 15. Okay. When I kind of realized that you could write your own song. I mean, it was a little bit different back then. You can write your own song. I mean, I'd already been making stuff up, poems and singing and, whatever. But that was my first real legitimate song. Oh,
so was rock and pop music big in your life at the time, or were you studying classical music at the time? So I'm assuming you listened to a lot of classical. Well, I know some people are just, they study classical and that's what they're listening to. But did you have rock and pop in there as well? And country?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, in my house, my dad was always listening to country, and my mom would bring home the pop records, the Simon and Garfunkel and, Leslie Gore and the Supremes and Bob Dylan and, whatever. She was the more with it kind of cool. And my dad brought home all the classic country stuff. And so I had these basically Saturday night in our house when I was growing up, if dad was home, Hee Haw would be on TV. And if mom was home, Lawrence Welk would be on TV. It was kind of, it was this really strange paradox or whatever, it's just, but,
that's awesome.
So I loved pop music. I mean, when I was really little, Olivia Newton-John was just so pretty. And I thought, wow, she's so pretty and she can sing. And I loved all that. I just loved good songs, but then I became a rocker chick. I was a rocker chick.
I heard you're a big Rush fan.
Yes, I am. Oh my gosh. So huge Rush fan. And what I liked about Rush was, for a musician, they were really challenging and to try to play it into, it was just not just 3 chords and whatever. It was, I liked the complexity. All my friends were geeks. They were all boys. And we all geeked out together, on all that kind of progressive and rock stuff. And so it was sort of what musicians listened to. But then there was this one cute boy that I really liked, and he loved Rush. So I kind of took the deep dive, but it didn't work out, but that's okay. It ended up better anyway.
So I think I've heard that Rush was your first concert too.
Yep.
Oh,
when I was 6.
Which tour?
Yeah. I mean, I know it was Signals.
Oh,
Signals. Yep. So it was in La Crosse, and my boyfriend, I was just for my 16th birthday. He took me out for dinner, and then we went to see Rush, and it blew my mind.
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't know what to expect. I was like, what if I don't like this concert thing? What if it's not, like, what if I don't know. So the opening band, I think it was Rory Gallagher or something, and they were okay,
Wow.
whatever. You know who that is?
Yeah.
Okay.
That dude's craziest blues guitarist, man. That dude's awesome.
Yeah, I just remember didn't know anything, so I was like, whatever. And then all of a sudden, like, the lights went down, and people started to go a little crazy, and then I heard the bass boom, boom, and all of a sudden, the Spirit of the Radio started.
Nice.
And I stood there for 20 minutes, tears streaming down my face, like, I mean, that was it. I was done. Stick a fork in me.
That's
rock and roll, baby.
Well, I have an admission to make. Rush was also my first concert.
Really? Which ones did you see?
Presto.
Wow, that's a great one.
Yeah, that was Mr. Big opened up.
Oh, that's cool.
Which was interesting. I didn't like Mr. Big at the time. Actually, I didn't even really know him. They only had the one album. They hadn't had any big hits yet. And so I saw Rush 3 times, and twice Mr. Big opened up. Now, wow. I've grown to like them a lot more, but at the time, because I was Rush, with big heavy metal, and they were more hair metal, pop rock kind of stuff. So I was like, oh man. But the third time I saw him, Candlebox opened up, and I was like, all right, I can dig that.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. So we'll be right back after a word from our sponsors. So we have a first concert connection. That's pretty cool.
Do you have a favorite Rush song?
A favorite Rush song? It's hard to say, but honestly, I love Countdown. Jacob's Ladder is awesome. What the hell is the name of that song? It's funny. What's your favorite song? And now I can't remember the name of it.
I know.
I'm gonna have to look it up while we're talking, because now it's the one. It's one on the whole Signals album is one of my favorites. And it's the one with the electric violin. What the hell is the name?
You mean the one really long one about the dancer?
Yeah, Losing It.
That was when I was a girl. This is really morbid, but I was like, I want this played at my funeral.
Oh, that's awesome! That's weirdly awesome.
And I mean, I don't think that anymore, but it was like my thing. It was like, if I die, you have to play this.
But I'll be honest, I loved Test for Echo, like Driven and the title track. I mean, it's amazing that they were able to just put out so much great stuff. And I'm not a huge fan of like Hold Your Fire, Power Windows, when they went a lot more synthy. That's like my least favorite era of Rush. But when they started bringing back Roll the Bones, Counterparts, Test for Echo, that's awesome.
What's the album? It might be Presto that has The Pass on it.
Yeah.
I love that. It's just, it's a beautiful piece.
It really.
I'm talking like Rush.
I know. That album. I think that's actually the first Rush album I ever got. I got it like for Christmas or something, because my parents they saw that it had bunny rabbits on it. And they're like, oh, it's got rabbits on it. It's not heavy metal. He'll be okay. Because I was like sneaking in Megadeth albums and Metallica. And, my parents were like, oh, here's a band. I hear they're popular and they have bunny rabbits on the cover. This will be fine. It's such an underrated album.
Yeah, it's a good one.
Oh, man. All right. So let's switch gears back from Rush back to you. When did you start playing outside of classical music, like outside of recitals and things like that? When did you start playing rock or pop or and what were you playing at first? Were you getting into playing with rock bands or country bands?
Yeah, my very first band I joined just as I was about to turn 16, and it was a rock band and it was a cover band, and they were. So the story of this is I was working at the Ground Round, and I was Bingo the Clown. So I would dress up in the clown outfit and makeup and everything. And I would give, blow up balloons for the kids and bring the cake over and sing happy birthday. And I thought I was like, okay, man, I'm keeping it real. I'm in entertainment. I'm in the entertainment industry. And as I was like dressed up as a clown, this really cute guy was playing one of the video games. And we started talking. It turned out he had a band and they were looking for a singer.
not a clown. They're looking
I'm
for
like,
a
well,
singer.
I can sing. Yeah, I can sing really. So I like, just wait. And I changed out of my clown stuff and everything and came back out. So they gave me a try and I got the gig, and that was my first band. And so every weekend was spent rehearsing at Winona State University. That was our rehearsal space, which was pretty cool.
Wow.
Yeah. And then we played all these dive bars around, and, it's pretty cool that my parents let me, but I mean, it was fun, and I would make my $25 and I'd be so happy, and it was great.
Go buy another Rush album. So,
pretty much.
So what was the music scene like in Winona at the time? Were there a lot of places to play?
Actually, Winona is a huge college town, and especially in those days, so we had 3 major colleges and a VOTAC, technical school. And so it was like half the population was in school time, and it would just, blow the town up. So we had a couple really cool places. One was called the Mississippi Queen, which was like a really kind of famous spot that people would play in the rock band scene, cover band scene. Okay. But there was all these little dive bars all over. And, back in those days, you could, just play almost every weekend if you wanted to. There were places to play all over. And there was a real scene, people would come out to watch music. That was what they did on the weekend.
When did, and I don't know if timeline, I'm trying to figure out a little bit of the timeline as we're talking, because some of the things I found, I didn't see dates and stuff for, so we may be bouncing around a little bit here and there, but when did you start working with Lamont Cranston?
I worked with them in 1987 for one summer.
Okay.
Do you know them?
I do, but it's it's through a weird thing. So one of my favorite bands is a one-off project called Mad Season. Are you familiar with Mad Season at all?
No.
Okay. Mad Season is 4 guys, and it's Lane Staley from Alice in Chains, Mike McCready from Pearl Jam, Barrett Martin from Screaming Trees, and the bassist is a guy named John Baker Saunders, who played with Lamont Cranston.
Really?
Yeah, and so that's how I found out Lamont Cranston. So when I saw that you had played with him, I went, I don't know anybody else who's played with Lamont Cranston besides this guy, John Baker Sanders, who passed away in like the early 90s. So,
okay.
So,
well, I don't recognize his name, but I mean, they went through, a bunch of people. So, but wow. So the blues band you're talking about. Yeah, they were huge. And they had like a hit and everything. And one of those bands where Bonnie Raitt would just show up to play with them and, that kind of thing. And very, very, just a really cool band. I mean, talk about me going to school to learn. I was kind of recruited as I was singing in one of the cover bands I was in. And one of the other girls who sang backing vocals for them saw me and said, "Hey, we're trying to get a new singer. Or the other one left. Would you be interested in trying out?" Or, and I said, yeah. I was like, they were huge, like around here. It was like, oh my God. I think I was 19, so I was like, what? Jeez. So I did, and I got the gig, and all of a sudden I'd been playing 6 nights a week, for, like 4 or 5 hour gigs every night, and making $100 a week on the road.
God.
Yeah, at that time. And now all of a sudden here I was, and I was making $75 a night for singing like seven songs in my own hometown, so it was like, oh my, and it was just like mind blown. It was really cool.
Wow. I can't believe that's such a difference. Good Lord. You must have been worn out. That sounds exhausting.
Oh, what? Yeah. I was paying my dues, as they say.
The 10,000 hours, right?
But that was so wonderful because everybody was so amazing in that band, everybody. And the crowds were there. And it was just like, when I wasn't on a song, I would just stand there and I would just watch them do their thing. I would just soak everything I could and watch how they interacted and how they, what they played and the choices and how they worked together. And it was amazing. It was only one summer, but boy, I tell you what, that was quite, like I say, I went to school.
Yeah.
Learn how to be fierce,
So speaking of that, so you're playing with these legends. You also open up for some legends, so like Etta James. When you're doing things like that, are you watching her perform as to enjoy the show, or are you studying it, or can you do both?
I can do both. No. Yeah, her I did both because Etta James, my God. I mean, I still am that was one of my, definitely a high in my career,
Oh, yeah.
And I did all my original tunes when I opened up, and I made a bunch of new fans that night. And then, it was just like, it was a really cool, it was at the O'Shaughnessy Auditorium in the College of St. Catherine in St. Paul. And it was so packed that there were people actually in the hallways who couldn't get in that were listening through the doors. Like, they couldn't even get in. It was like so packed. So that was pretty cool. But she had just had knee surgery. So she comes out on the scooter and then, and then it starts singing just badass, but she's telling all these really dirty jokes and stories. And it's the total NPR crowd, and they're just like, I'm like, but it worked, it was just like, it's Etta James. She can say whatever she wants, but I was like, wow, she was like your cool aunt,
right.
that.
The only thing cool would have been if she was like smoking on stage.
Yeah, she probably would have been if she had not had surgery. I don't know. I think it was crazy. Yeah.
Okay. So at what point did you end up moving to England? Because I also read that you sang with Rick Astley, which is mind-blowing to me, too. So
I moved there after Lamont Cranston was done in 87.
Okay.
That band, Pat Hayes, who's the leader of the band, sort of said, I don't know what was happening, but let go the horns, I think some of the horn players and the backing vocalists. So,
oh, wow. And
I had met a guy, and he was in a band that was really huge at the time, had a #1 hit single. In fact, Lamont Cranston opened for them, and they were called Cutting Crew, the Cutting Crew.
I just died in your arms tonight.
Yeah. And so we kind of had a little thing, and next thing I knew, I was moving to England, and we ended up getting married. I mean, it didn't last that long, but we're still friends, But when I was there, I was backstage at a Fleetwood Mac concert at Wembley. Yeah, which were my absolute highest whatever,
Oh, yeah.
I'm not worried.
Yeah.
And there was a woman there named Debbie Haxton who had what was called the Session Connection. And she would put people on tours with Pink Floyd and whoever as, backing singers, instrumentalists, whatever. And she came up to me and she said, I understand you're a singer. And I said, well, yes, I am. And she said, well, I might have some work for you. I said, okay.
Nice.
And then literally the next day called me, and Rick Astley, the girl who had been in his Never Gonna Give You Up video, Lauren, was leaving to join a band called Brass in Australia, who nobody knows who they are unless you're in the rest of the world.
Right.
In the rest of the world, they were huge, but I mean, it was a huge, so she left. So I went down to the studios, Stock Aitken and Waterman's, Pete Waterman Studios, whatever, and walked in, and he just kind of looked at me and said, okay, you got the job.
Wow.
And the next week on my birthday, I was singing backing vocals for Rick Astley at Royal Albert Hall. Yeah.
Oh my God.
Talk about, you just never know in life.
Wow. Oh man. Well, about what years are you working with Rick Astley? How long did you work with Rick Astley for?
For like about a year.
Okay.
I did different things. That would have been 1980, 88, 89, kind of his sweet spot years,
Yeah. Yeah. Until recently, anyway.
Yeah. He just put out a great new album.
Oh,
he played everything, and he wrote, because we didn't know this, but he was a great writer. He wrote on some of those songs back in the day.
Oh, wow.
But he's a great writer. He's just, and you should check it out. I'm not kidding. It's a good album.
I will. Back when those songs, when Never Gonna Give You Up and all were popular, I couldn't stand it. But I was into,
of course.
Yeah, I was into metal and all stuff. But when Rick Rolling started getting real popular, he made a bunch of appearances on shows and did interviews. And I listened to him and I watched him and I'm like, I love this guy. I don't even care if I ever like his music. This guy's awesome.
No, he's great. He totally was self-deprecating and he totally got it. He just done with it. He didn't, you know what I mean? He was just that kind of a guy. Really nice, down to earth, super talented, Oh, yeah. He opened his mouth and he's a great singer.
Oh, it's fine. Whatever you want. This is a podcast. You can say whatever you want. So, are you writing your own music at this time? Are you working on your own stuff?
Yep, I've always been pretty much the writer. So I've been writing. I'm writing, and I'll start probably writing again. I'm gonna move my home studio into a different room. So now I'm gonna now that'll be like, okay, now I'm going to start fresh and do another something, so.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. Around the same time you're working with Rick Astley, I did hear a story about you giving a little bit of a karmic retribution to members of Bananarama.
You heard that?
I heard that story. Yes.
Like, I feel so bad, really, but it's just the truth of what happened. I mean, it's, you're like, should I even talk about this? Is this like me? But it's a true story. I'm sure they're lovely and they're whatever. But at the time, yeah, I was backstage working for Rick. We were doing the Royal Variety Show. So the Queen's out there and the Prince, whatever it is, and
yeah.
it's one of those, I don't know if you've ever seen that show. They do it every year, but it's the one where John Lennon said you can rattle your jewelry. I don't know if you know that.
Yes. Yes.
And so that year, it was like Jackie Mason, the comedian, the Golden Girls were on it.
Oh, wow.
A Taiwanese juggling or like circus act. And it was Julio Domingo. What was his name? I can't remember.
Placido Domingo?
And then it was something, Placido, I don't know, somebody like that. I can't remember. Okay. Maybe it was. Anyway, somebody like that. And then it was like, Bananarama, and Rick Astley. Those were the pop stars on. Oh, and Kylie Minogue and the cast of Neighbors. Anyway, it's crazy. It's just all over the map,
Jeez.
And yeah, it's like a big deal. So I'm waiting backstage to go on, and the three girls of Bananarama are right next to me, literally like a foot away, and we've all been told to wait there, and it's kind of quiet. And so I'm this little Midwest girl, that's like, living this fairy tale life, all of a sudden. And I just look at them and I go, good luck, just like, and they just like, whatever, like rolled their, like, whatever, like just
rolled their collective eyes.
All their collective eyes. Yeah. Right. I felt like this big. I was like, oh my God, I'm such an idiot, whatever. Oh. So we go on and do our thing, and then we're getting ready to go, and the cars are there for us. They always have cars, to pick you up. And I don't remember. Someone grabbed my hand and said, "We gotta go. The car's here." And I've got these heels that are like spiky, on. Yeah. And I'm running. I'm like, I think at the time I weigh like 106, soaking wet, And so I'm just flying through the hall as she's pulling me, And all of a sudden, there's a bunch of people, and all the press are standing there, and they've got all their cameras. The three girls at Bananarama, and I did not mean to do this, but I spiked one of their toes. They had open toe shoes on with my heel, and I'm like, the look on her face, like, and I'm like, sorry, but I was, as I was running past the car. Oh my God.
Oh, but well, you know what? Look, you got to be nice to people. Sometimes it doesn't take that fast to come back around to you, but it will.
I feel bad. Like I said, they're probably lovely and they probably had a lot going on and whatever. But, it would have been nice if they could have said, thank you, you too. I mean, how hard is that?
Exactly.
But whatever.
They had swift karmic retribution. So.
Yes.
We'll be right back after a word from our sponsors. So when did you start working with and writing for other people? Was that, because I'm assuming that started happening before you started releasing your own albums?
Yeah, I was working on my own music and recording and stuff, but I think it was Yanni that really, I had just gotten a publishing deal in LA, and it was kind of a big deal at the time. And my ex-husband was friends with Yanni. They'd been in a band together called Chameleon.
Oh, okay.
And so I'd met him a few times, but I never was one. I've never been that person to push my stuff and go, hey, listen to this, whatever. I just wasn't that person,
I know what you mean, yeah.
And so he was playing the Target Center right at the height of his fame, and he invited us to go backstage and wanted to talk. Wow. I was like, okay, cool. So we walked backstage and into his dressing room, and there's Linda. He was dating Linda Evans at the time.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Yes.
Who was literally the nicest, sweetest, most beautiful person you've ever met in your life. Oh. She was a true star. Like, if anybody could hold a room, it was her. It was like, wow, there's what a real star looks like.
Oh, man.
But she was lovely. And Yanni said, Pamela, I'd like to talk to you. And he kind of took me to the back of the dressing room and said, someone gave me your demo. You have a beautiful voice, and I love your songwriting. we should work together. And I was like, okay. Like, like, thank you. Like, I just was like floored. I was like, oh, thank you. You're like, wow.
Oh, yeah.
And I didn't think anything would really ever happen. I thought it was just a nice moment. And then the next thing I know, I'm flying out to LA to work with him and Seth Riggs, who's a great vocal coach. And, I wrote his first lyric song. Be so grateful for that, because like I know that his lawyers and attorneys and stuff are like, just get somebody will write it for you. You don't need to pay her $5,000 and just or whatever. And he did it the right way. He was solid. He did a solid, and
that's awesome.
Opened a lot of doors for me. And the next thing I knew, my song is on a Billboard top whatever, a 2 million selling album, and and it's performed at the Taj Mahal in India and the Forbidden City in China, and I flew out to New York to see it performed at Radio City, and just like all these, it's just wow, it was just so cool. And then I ended up writing another few songs with him for another album, and so that was really, really cool.
That set you in motion to work with a whole bunch of other people, and the question I always have about that is, if you're writing with or for someone, is it weird, especially with what I've gathered from your catalog? Because you seem to write, or at least it sounds like you're writing almost personal experiences, like everything stems from reality. Mm-hmm. Is it tough, or maybe not tough isn't the right word, but is it strange to hear something you've written that is personal to coming out of like Winona Judd's mouth?
No, I mean, it's cool, it's cool. It's like with Yanni, but the other thing is about being a songwriter. Well, and I taught for a while, taught some students about production techniques and stuff. Okay. And one of the first things I wanted to say is, I know you love what you love. Like, I know your genre, like, that you're hip hop or whatever it is, country, whatever, but it's going to serve you well to be open to other kinds of music, because you don't know where your career is going to take you. And in the case of Yanni, all of a sudden I was writing, think about his audience. It's worldwide. They don't speak the same languages. And so you're writing a different, instead of I'm in my truck going to wherever it is, it's going to be more universal. And so that was a good challenge to create something that would reach across different cultures and people and just have a different tone to it. So when I was with him, he would tell me kind of what he wanted, and I would try to make that happen. But it was cool.
That's incredible. I saw a credit, and I have to ask you about this because I don't know if this is real or not. Because I've had a few. I do a lot of research through Discogs, and I've had a few incorrect credits pop up. And I don't know if this is real or not, but I saw a credit, I guess it was around 2000, 2002, where you're credited as P-Dog McNeill and as playing turntables on a song by 2 Ton Crutch, which I listened to. And you're so right when you said you have to be open to different types of music, because that is way different than Yanni. That's how we stop this. Crazy, I'm a little crazy, but you try to fuck me, you try to rape me. I kick your asses, hanging on crosses. That's how we stop this. Crazy, I'm a little crazy, but you try to fuck me, you try to rape me. Now, I kick your asses, hanging on crosses. That's how we stop it. Crazy, I'm a little crazy, but you try to fuck me, then you try to rape me. I kick your asses, hanging on crosses. That's how we stop it.
Oh my God, that's so funny. Oh. I wonder, you said today, P-Dog, on the text. I'm not going to say anything. Oh my God. So they were they were a young, this band that my ex-husband was helping with, and I just loved them. They were they were so good. They were just so full of energy, and they were just a great band, and we just got to be friends. And so, like, I go to the studio, whatever, they recorded some stuff at our studio, and I'd go to their place or wherever they were, and I did something, I can't remember what it was, and so they started calling me P-Dog, and so I ended up getting a credit for that. So it is true.
Wow.
I'm all over the map.
Wow, I don't think I've had an artist on that is more all over the map than you. That is amazing.
It was fun. Oh my God, that's...
All right, so I want to let's all right, I want to ask a couple questions about your songwriting, because I'm always curious. Not being a songwriter and it being a subpar guitar player who's self-taught, I'm more of a listener of music than a creator. So, do you have a process for writing? Do you make yourself sit down and write, or do you wait for inspiration? And do you have a go-to instrument? Like, when you want to write something, are you sit at the piano, or are you at the guitar, or are you at the turntables?
Maybe I should go back to the turntables. Well, I play piano. I also play trombone, but I don't write with that. Okay. And harmonica, but I play piano. I don't play guitar. I wish I did, but I don't.
Okay.
I can play like 3 chords very poorly, and that's about
another connection between you and me.
So the piano, like one of my albums a few albums ago, I wrote it all on piano during lockdown, and because we had just gotten a grand piano. And so I went old school and wrote everything like that, which was cool. But,
nice.
But I love Pro Tools. I like to go in and find sounds. I like to create orchestra parts. I like to write bass lines and drums. And even though someone will take them and make them better and do the right thing, I really enjoy putting arrangements together and messing around with that. And yeah, so when I first started out, I only wrote with a title first. And I do like to have a title, because a title gave me a destination. It's like, okay, here's where I want to end up. How am I going to get there?
Oh, cool.
And so I really liked doing that for a long time. And then I just got to a point where I just close my eyes and see what happens and see what comes up. But sometimes you just get a word or you get a phrase in your head and you're like, oh, and I have a feeling about it, like, okay, this is something. This has got fuel in it.
Yeah.
I just need to light the match and see where it goes. So it just really depends. Sometimes I'll get a beat going, or a rhythm going, or I'll just, I don't know. There's different, I don't have a one kind of thing, but I do find in general, I do like a title.
That's really interesting.
Yeah.
Awesome. I'm assuming it's different when you're writing collaboratively. Is it difficult to work? Because like I when I was listening, it does sound like a lot of your stuff is stories and it's very personal. Is it tough to get what you want across when you're writing with somebody else?
That's such a great question. It is very personal. I've always been really in my head when I write. I mean, when I lived in England, we lived in a flat, and you didn't want to make any noise, so I'd put my headphones on, and it was just this other world that I didn't want anyone to hear it till I was done. I'm still kind of like that. I've learned to co-write, and if I trust somebody, I like it, but it'll never be quite as fun for me as just doing it all on my own, because it feels safer. There's something about putting your ideas out there, even though people are great, and you get to know people and you can work. There's people I can work with that we do great, but I don't know. I'd like to do it, but most of the time I prefer just being on my own.
So you mentioned doing it on your own feels a little more safe. I would also imagine it's a little safer to have somebody else singing the songs. So what made you branch out and start putting out your own albums? Well,
that's what I always was going to do. I mean, I just had to wait for it to actually happen. So, yeah, I always wanted to do that. I never went into it to be a songwriter, to write for other people. When I got my publishing deal, they actually signed me as an artist writer, as opposed to, you know what I mean? But that's how Winona Judd happened. She came in to see my A&R person at the time in LA, and he played her one of my songs, and she said, I want to hear everything this girl's done.
Wow.
And No, at the time I was young and like, whatever, but it's actually really cool. And that's like the coolest way. That the Pam Tillis thing happened that way too. My song plugger sent her a bunch of my songs and she wrote back and said, "Oh, I really love this. If she ever come to Nashville, do you think she'd write with me? I love everything," and it was like, so it's kind of cool when you get the artist connection, like that one-on-one as opposed, a lot of times they have to sit in a room and listen to hundreds of songs, and that must be just really, that would be hard, I would imagine. But
I heard a story. Well, I had Dan Navarro on months and months ago, and he was saying something similar. Like when he wrote "We Belong," it was just something that it was like in a box of cassettes that Pat Benatar was going through, and she just happened to pick it up and play it and loved it and reached out. It was just pure luck. So I went back and I started listening I listened to the new EP first, and then I thought, I'm gonna go back and listen to the albums. And your debut, American Breakup, blew me away.
Thank you.
Holy shit. I mean, seeing someone new is that sounds more like early Soul Asylum than, Pam Tillis. It's just amazing.
Man, you really had me going. The way those tears popped up and took to almost showing. After everything you put me through, I can't believe I was in love with you. 'Cause I live my life, I know I stumble, there's no doubt about it. I don't deserve your wicked ways, and I found out about it. The way the wind started blowing, and the truth started showing, and through my heart it blew. So I'm seeing someone new. You let me right where we got started, full of doubt and broken hearted. Take my trust and then you flew.
And One Night in the Middle of the World.
Oh yeah.
I hear your love of Fleetwood Mac in that. That sounds like it, almost like The Chain. It's just killer.
That's a fan favorite for sure.
Oh, and I love the Amy Mann reference in You'll Be Sorry.
Yeah.
He said, shut up. He said, shut up. Oh, God, can't you keep it down? He said, shut up. He said, shut up. Oh, God, can't you keep it
Yes. Oh my God. I'm glad you got that. That's cool.
I love it. I love Amy Mann, but that song, and that's so like a new wave. You're all over the map on that album. It's great. It's like new wavy.
I did that on purpose. It's like the map of your heart. It's like it's all over the place and going through a breakup. And it was just so you have different extremes and different moments. And so, yeah, that's a very special. That was actually not my debut album. Everybody thinks it was. The first one isn't available anymore.
Oh.
But it was my second album. And yeah, but everybody loves American Breakup.
Oh,
yeah.
I understand why. It's killer. And then
Thank you.
But then you go a little more country, a little more ballad, a little more ballad. I don't want to say ballady, but there's more ballads and not as rock on the subsequent albums. Like The Way to Break My Heart is
Oh yeah.
You don't even care, 'cause you don't know how hard it is to be without you. You don't remember holding hands and counting stars, and you can't seem to recall even one sweet kiss pressing hard against me in the dark. Oh, but you still know the way to break my heart.
like I said, I'm a rock guy, but songs like that and How Heartaches Happen, those get me. Oh, I love those.
Yeah, I love that song, How Heartaches Happen.
So it sounds to me, not being a songwriter, as the albums go along, the writing and the subject matter is maturing with each one, and it's less of an I'm telling you how it's going to be and more of a here's what happened kind of a perspective. Would that be is that kind of accurate?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's good. I mean, I think that's a good way to put it. I think I was just so heartbroken for many, many years and sad. And it just sort of, but that's the perfect outlet for it. Like I didn't really, especially when I lived in England, I was really heartbroken, and the only way that I could communicate and talk about stuff was to write it. And so,
that's your
now
craft.
yeah, right. And now I'm trying to like not, I love this sad stuff because I always have, I've just been I just love a good sad song or whatever. And I love an empowering song, and I love, but I'm just trying to still, write what's relevant that I think people that I talk to and meet can relate to, and I don't know. It's hard to say what'll happen next, but
before we talk about the new album, because I've got some questions about that because it's really interesting what you've done with the new EP. I want to ask about a couple other things that you're doing. So you have a cover band, Wild Angels, where you do a variety of stuff, but you also do a Fleetwood Mac tribute with Rumors and Dreams.
Yes.
How did those come to be? Was that just because you just love playing those songs and it's a good outlet for it?
Rumors and Dreams was a dream of mine to do years ago, to put together a Fleetwood Mac show that was just sounded like their records coming to life,
Oh, awesome.
And about 12 years ago or so, I put it together, and there was a place that was playing in St. Cloud, Minnesota, a little theater that said, yes, let's do it. And so I did 6 nights, and I thought that would be it. Get it out of my system, and do the next thing. My best friend, Jane Alm, does Christine McPhee, and it was just, I had a marching band come in every night to do Tusk,
Man.
I mean, it was crazy. So it was, so the first night it wasn't sold out, and then every night after that was. And I remember talking to the theater owner, and he said, Pamela, this is one of the best productions I've ever seen. And I put everything together, the set list, the band. And I didn't want to do like we're going to look like them kind of thing.
Okay.
It's just, I wanted all the harmonies there. I wanted all the guitar, the intricate parts. And so that's what we worked on doing, and making it powerful and telling little stories, about the history of the band and stuff. And it just, I've never had to call for work. I just get calls. I could do this 365 nights a year and never, ever do anything else. So it's really beautiful the way we sell everything out. I mean, it's crazy. But it's really fun for me because I love the music. I love the band so much. I always say they are my Beatles,
Yeah.
They wrote the soundtrack for my life, and to get to perform these songs with people I love so much and have these audiences who they just leave so happy and full of joy, and maybe they've cried or whatever. It's really a beautiful thing, and I'm so proud of it, and I'm so happy that we're still doing it. So,
is any of that available on YouTube or anything? Is there any way I can watch any of that?
No, but I'd like to put together something. It's just, I have so many things going on. It's always like, oh, I want to do that, but I have to figure out time to do it. So it's really fun. That's
something I would love to see. That sounds so awesome.
But you come here and I'll take care of you.
All right.
You and your wife.
Deal.
Yeah, we'll hook you up.
All right. That's a deal. So would that be in Nashville or Minnesota?
In Minnesota.
Okay.
Yeah, Minneapolis.
Oh, awesome. Okay. I'm actually pretty decent friends with Soul Asylum's guitarist Ryan Smith, so I got a reason to go out there.
Is that Pony
yeah.
and Ryan?
Ryan and Pony, yeah.
He's a friend of mine on Facebook.
Ryan is the sweetest dude.
Not the Melismatics?
Yeah, he's the Melismatics. He's Ryan and Pony, and he's also the guitarist for Soul Asylum, and he's doing some stuff solo now. I put together a. Okay, so here's a whole other story. I had 2 years ago, I had somebody that really awesome dude, guy named Lyle Heisen from Bank Robber Music. He was also in the late 80s, early 90s band Das Damen, and they used to do a whole bunch of cover songs for tribute albums. And but they put out their own albums, but he said that he was a self-described tribute album whore, because anybody asked him to do a tribute album, they would do it and just to get their name out there. So one of the tribute albums they did like 6 of them. One was for the Ruddles, which
the Ruddles. Oh my God, that's so cool.
So we were talking about how awesome is it that you do a tribute album to a band that doesn't actually exist.
No.
So we started talking like, did anybody ever do one for Spinal Tap? And as we were talking, I looked and I'm like, nobody's done one for Spinal Tap. So I said, I'm going to do one for Spinal Tap. He said, all right, if you do one for Spinal Tap, he's like, my new band will do it. Royal Arctic Institute.
Awesome.
That's all right. The hardest part's done. They're getting the first band to agree. It's always the hardest part. So done. 2 years later, we're about to release it. We've got Spinal Tap's permission and approval and blessing. All the money is going to charity. It's going to Teen Cancer America. They reached out and got some of their amazing artists to contribute. Ryan Smith did a song for it. So he did the song Heavy Duty.
Oh, God. Heavy Duty.
Yeah.
Rock and roll.
I have. So the original soundtrack is 11 songs. Go figure. I've got, when it's all said and done, I'll probably have 30 tracks on this from all different artists. So it's going to be a limited edition digital release, only available on Teen Cancer America's website, and all the money goes straight to them. So, it's...
Oh, my.
I'm just kind of blown away by the whole thing. But Ryan came on the podcast when Ryan and Pony put out their last thing, and we just kind of stayed in touch.
Oh.
And I asked him. So so we've met up actually when Soul Asylum tours this summer. We're going to meet up when they come to Virginia, and
wait,
you'll be hanging out for a little bit then. So anyway,
that's really cool.
Oh yeah, he's such a nice guy. Oh my gosh. So you got a new album or a new EP coming out. My first question is it a precursor to an LP, or is this going to be a standalone EP? And is there a reason you're putting out an EP and not waiting until you have more songs to release in a full album?
It's actually just a standalone EP, just a EP. And I think John, who is from the label, and he also the drummer, and also ended up co-producing and stuff.
That's awesome.
He had done some songs. Yeah, he had done some shows with me. He had heard some of these songs because a couple of them are reimagined. He's like, you have so many great songs. It'd be really cool to like reimagine a few of them. And I go ahead, pick what you want. So they picked a couple. And then I had a couple songs that I just wrote, too. And we're just like, I don't want to do a whole big, let's just, do a 6-song EP and that, you know what I mean? So like, okay, that'll be great. So that's what we ended up doing. It just kind of felt right. And my first final ever, which is exciting.
That's awesome.
So that's really what it was. It was just like, let's do this and then we'll see what happens beyond that. But
okay. So you answered one of the other questions, which is how did you pick the songs to reimagine? But I did also see that Boys Lie is on there, not listed as reimagined, but it's different from the original release.
He says, baby, I just need you. Really wanna see you. Can I come over now? One night, magic until daylight. Says he'll always be mine, and I believe somehow. Why do boys lie? Why do they run? Why do I still care when it's all done? How come I fall?
yeah, John and Adam changed a couple lines lyrically, and then we took it in, and John just loved that song. He's like, that song is so, whatever. And so, but then having Rachel Loy on the bass, Tom Bukovic on guitar, just the feel that they came up with, because Tom was like, she's got kind of this Motown thing going on here, and so they kind of took it, and Rachel's bass it's just so cool what they ended up doing, and just giving it a lift and just making it even more fun, it was fun it was crazy cool.
I've listened to both. I prefer the EP version, the new version, and they're both good, but I like the new redone version better. So
Me too.
I've listened to this several times now, and the thing that always comes to my mind, the first track, "Give Back My Love," the reimagined version. Yeah. I mean, that sounds like it was written for, take out the Fleetwood Mac reference. It sounds like it was written for Christine McVie. I can imagine her singing it.
7 hours I was on the freeway. 7 hours you were on my mind. The rain was beating down a wake-up calling. I guess the storm was never far behind. And now I want you to give back my love. How I want you to give
Right.
That I absolutely love that.
Yeah. No, I love that too. And I love it. It has the feel that I really wanted when I first wrote it, you know, and I love when they decided to bring up the come back sweetness, come back faith, to make it kind of come back a little bit more, because that was always my favorite part of it.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, look at that. But so they did a little bit of a rearranging, and I love how it feels. I wanted it to feel like you're in your car and it's raining and you're thinking about all this. And that's when I do all my real thinking, is when I was, so many gigs I've done. That's my thinking time. That's my feeling, my working it out, and that's when all the good stuff happens. Like, you get the ideas and everything. So I wanted it to have that feel. And so many people have said, oh my God, it's like perfect driving song. I feel like I'm in my car. I do, which is really cool.
It does. And that's exactly when I thought it sounds like you're driving at night. It's maybe raining. Is it a pedal steel or is it a lap steel? And it's just beautiful.
I think I can't remember what he did on that, but I can't remember.
It's a spooky, haunting nighttime driving sound.
Yeah.
And I love stuff like that. So the other thing that I absolutely love is The Ocean. That song sounds like it was written for Stevie Nicks. Especially the end.
crashing over me, crashing over me, wave after wave, wave after wave, wave after wave after wave after wave after wave after wave.
I believe I read that it was done in one take.
Yes. Okay, so, oh my God, I'm so happy that you said that. That just made me so happy. I was in Florida. My husband and I have a place there for part of the year, kind of, on Clearwater Beach.
Oh, nice.
And when I first came down there, I would walk down every day, walk on the beach, and I'm totally drawn to water. I mean, I'm a water person. I love it. And I would see all these people stand there, and that they're talking, they have an internal conversation or whatever it is, their pain, their joy, they're giving it, and they're getting something back from the ocean. They're giving their pain there. I mean, you can see it. It's very powerful. Everybody wants to go there. I want to go there. And I was like, I need to write this song. I need to write a song called The Ocean about, the extreme expressions, extreme feelings that you get when you stand there. And I said, it needs to be like, I want it to be like a Stevie Nicks, one of her big songs with the, this kind of thing. And it just needs to be big. And then and so I pretty much had it done. And then Adam helped me finish a couple lyrics, and we took it in, and these guys recorded the take in one take. And it was so amazing that we're actually on the vinyl. You're going to hear the whole, it goes on much longer, Vukovic solo. I'm like, I want all of that. I want the whole thing on there because it's so amazing. And just to get to sing and they said, okay, Stevie, your heart out when I was singing. And I'm like, okay, you asked for it. So, yeah.
It's so good. It's my favorite on the whole EP.
Be happy.
And I think it's one of my favorite songs you've ever written. I love it so much.
Thank you.
And you nailed Stevie on it. That's your love of Fleetwood Mac definitely comes through on this EP and the reimagined version of Get Back My Love. So, I mean, it's really incredibly well done. So are you hitting the road to support any of this, or is this going to be something that just holds place until you're ready to do a full album?
I think we're working on that. I've got a really busy schedule in the fall with all the other stuff I'm doing, so until the end of the year. But then we're working on like a tour, and I'd love to do some more right now. I've got two things scheduled before the end of the year. I've got a fan appreciation / vinyl release. And then in November, I'm also playing the Chanhassen with my original band and doing that again.
Nice.
So But then next year, I definitely want to put together a tour, like in the spring or something like that, a real tour, and maybe I'll have more stuff. I don't know, but we're working on all that right now. So.
Oh, awesome! I would love to hear this live. I love to hear you live. So if you come to the DC area, I will be there.
Tell me where to go. If there's a place I should play, I want to know about it.
Yeah, I'll reach out. I'll give you my email and I'll text you about the email and we'll work something out because there are so many places to play in DC, Virginia, Maryland.
That would be great. That would be so awesome.
Oh yeah.
Oh my God. Yeah.
DC it's a great music town. DC and Northern Virginia, Maryland, so many places to play. It's awesome. So I have really enjoyed going back and doing a deep dive in your music. Like I said, country is really not my strong suit, but you really suckered me in with American Breakup, and I had to stay through everything, and I really am getting a new appreciation. You're opening my eyes to some country music. I'll have to admit to my metal friends that I'm starting to like some country. So thank you.
I'm kind of on the fringe. I think I'm like a
alt
rocker.
Country.
Yeah, alt country. Let's go with that.
Yeah. Well, where can people find the album, the EP, and the rest of your music, and how can they follow you to see what you're getting up to? And maybe there'll be a 2-Ton Crutch reunion in the mix.
I'll ask you guys. So PamelaMcNeill.com, 2 L's in McNeill. We'll have a lot of information for you there. Any shows I'm doing. How to get the record or the album record, EP, I should say. And then all the socials, except for, I think the Instagram, I think it's Pamela McNeill Music is what you'll find across a lot of the social media platforms if you look for that. And then farmtolabelrecords.com, you'll find my stuff there too. So those are the best ways.
Perfect. Thank you so much for sharing the music, for helping open my eyes to a whole new genre that I'm going to be deep diving into, and for just being awesome, being flexible with the time schedule and everything. And I really do appreciate everything you've helped me out with for this episode.
Oh my gosh, you were so fun. I just loved hanging out with you. I'm like, I feel like I know this guy. It's all fun. Thank you.
Oh, it's been my pleasure. Honestly, there are so many things that you connect with me and or my wife that I'm pretty sure if we ever met up, we could hang out and just talk anything for hours.
That would be amazing. So I'm there.
All right, so we'll have to figure that out. Maybe we come to Minneapolis, or you come to DC area, and we'll make it happen.
You got it.